Oh, Money Mike, help me. I'm in a financial rut and I don't think I'll ever get out.
Oh, my sweet, naive Rad Bill. This is America, and anyone can get themselves out of a financial rut. It says so in the Total Money Makeover, the book that I just stole from Dave Ramsey.
Wait, are you plugging Dave Ramsey's book right now?
No way, dude. That guy's the fucking worst.
Yeah, bit over.
This is Pop the Jesus is the people.
Dave Ramsey, the Christian conservative financial guru, sucks.
So bad. Just so
Oh,
bad.
dude, his guidance sucks. He looks like if the dude and the old Rich Lebowski got married and pooped out a conservative radio host together.
Just terrible. Just fucking terrible.
We're going to dive into the 7 steps from his book, Total Money Makeover, and we're going to dive into the problem with each step, and then we're going to jump into the larger problems underpinning Dave's philosophy just as a whole. Let's kick it right off. Short episode, baby! Step 1,
Woo.
save $1,000 for your emergency fund. This way, you have something to fall back on while you pay off your debt.
This is going to be a recurring trend because all Dave really cares about is paying off debt.
Yeah, what the shit?
Also, $1,000 for an emergency? What fucking year is this?
God, a part of me feels like it's still 2016, but that might be the hallucinogens.
But even in 2016, who on earth can live off $1,000 or use it as a cushion for even a month? Consider your rent, or your mortgage, or your car payment and car insurance, just all that fucking shit. If you're still under $1,000, you're either living in the middle of nowhere and are perfectly healthy, or have just a sugar mommy or sugar daddy that you need to give my number to.
Yeah, for real. Also, I actually keep my expenses under $1,000. It's quite simple. You just combine your home with your car, and then when you get injuries, you just cut that thing off. Problem solved. Cheap as shit like this, dude.
Brad Bill, I have been wondering what your secret was and why you only had one arm for so long.
This is it. I'm spilling the beans. You've seen my hand now. Hand, singular. Step 2, now that you've got $1,000 in the bank, pay off all debt except your house using Dave Ramsey's snowball method.
So the snowball method is you line up your debt, smallest obligation to large, pay off the smallest debt. First, say it's $50 on the card that you used to buy lottery tickets.
Boom! You paid that shit, baby!
Hell yeah! And with that comes a nice little dopamine kick, which is sweet. We're having fun now.
Oh,
so
yeah.
then we take the minimum payment from that lottery ticket credit card and throw that on our next biggest credit card, which is, of course, our cigarette credit card.
Ah, yes.
Radbill checked, and unfortunately, there is no cigarette card that rewards you with points for buying cigarettes.
Smokers never get a fucking break, man.
They deserve rights. But so next are the heavy hitters.
Yeah, like the $4,000 balance on the Old Navy credit card from that time you bought all that denim for that denim wallpaper you wanted to make, and the Old Navy wouldn't let you return it when your wife said no.
If you listen to him walk through these steps in the past, you've silenced a little voice in the back of your head asking, well, what about interest rates? Well, that little dude was right. If you don't prioritize by interest rates and you prioritize only by balance, you're paying more interest than you could if you tackled the higher interest rate cards first. And this is called the avalanche method.
If furniture in your house is on fire, you don't start by putting out the smallest fires.
Dude,
You jump to the fucking curtains. That's priority number 1, because that shit is spreading to the ceiling. Step 3, build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund after you've paid off all of your non-house debt.
This is pointlessly rigid and really hasn't changed in the decades since it was introduced by Dave, which is weird because money isn't worth as much as it was decades ago.
Yeah.
And this figure is designed to accommodate for a job loss or a really, really big expense because 3 to 6 months tends to be about the amount of time that you would need to find a similar paying job if you lost your job.
Yeah, more reputable advisors might adjust this number depending on what else is going on in the market. Suze Orman's number changed to 12 months in 2009 because in 2009, it was pretty hard to get a similar paying job.
For sure. Another big issue is that depending on how long step 2 takes you, which if you have a lot of debt and not a lot of income, you're only going to have $1,000 to your name for the entirety of step 2.
Yeah.
And just law of large numbers, if you only have $1,000 to your name for 4 or 5 years, there's a much higher chance that something bad happens that not only sets you back, but puts you in a worse position because you didn't have the liquidity that you needed.
Yeah, why are you building an emergency fund now, after you've paid off most of your debt?
It doesn't make sense when you look at it under the microscope. It just doesn't pass the snuff test.
True that. So, step 4, invest 15% of your household income into retirement.
Okay. So Dave's spent decades giving a saving suggestion to his entire body of listeners with no regard to listeners' age, income, familial status. Are you a human who just spent God knows how long tirelessly paying off all your debt for some reason? Save like 15% of what you make. That'll do the trick. This is far too broad to be successful and really gives an opportunity for someone to follow this advice and it blow them up.
Yeah, true that. So, step 5, start saving for college for your stupid kids, you big dumb idiot.
or here's another idea. Just don't have kids, maybe.
Yeah. It's pretty hilarious that he's suggesting, by the way, that people worry about saving for college after paying off all of their debt. Like, your kid is going to be an adult at this point.
Dude, your kid is going to be putting you in the nursing home when you're finally like, it's okay, Timmy, I can pay for college now.
You're supposed to start saving for college when you're wiping their butt, not the other way around, you turkey.
Fucking well said. Also, Dave has like beef with college. He gets with Mike Rowe and all those people who are like, college is for liberal pussies. And it's just really weird that he like has a whole step for saving for college for your kids when he doesn't really seem to like college that much. But that's neither here nor there.
And the kid's going to feel like shit too. I paid off the Kohl's card. Time to begin putting money towards my child. So, step 6, pay off your home. You turkey.
So here's the thing. Real estate is so much more complicated than just pay it off.
Yeah.
Dave supposedly paid for his office building in cash in 2019, and he brags about it fucking constantly.
Which is stupid and hilarious.
It was so dumb.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that more later, but again, it's this guy is saying everyone should do these 7 steps, and it's a lot more granular than that, man.
Yeah.
Also, this is going to take a long-ass fucking time.
Yep, it definitely is. So, step 7, now that you're in old age and maybe in a nursing home or wherever, you've paid off a lot of decades-long obligations. Good for you. You're probably close to saving up for a year of your kid's college. Step 7 is about building wealth and leaving a legacy. Give to everyone. Give your kids an inheritance. That will be fucking... Whew. Actually,
Be lit.
Yeah, I'm going to give this one a twist. We're going to have kids and then spend all of our money on appearances, and they'll feel super comfy and secure in the idea that we're going to leave them enough money to take care of them after we go. And then they'll find out after we die that they're getting nothing and they'll have to live on the streets.
Also, my favorite part of that story is you said we're going to have kids. And I know that you're talking about you and your wife, but for a second I had us as 2 just dads.
Yeah.
And
that was like you would be way more down for this plan, just on the merits of how funny it would be. And like, this is going to be an uphill battle selling that idea to my wife. And one day my kids will find this and be horrified, but what do you do?
Oof, I didn't even think about that. But that's again, just don't have kids. Don't have kids. Everything gets better if you don't have kids. But anyway, all of these 7 steps, it's fucking nonsense.
It's nonsense.
And He preaches it as a guide for financial salvation, but it's a guide for getting out of debt. It's all about reducing debt.
So, our beautiful, lovely, wonderful listeners at home might be asking, what the hell do people get from this guy? If these steps ever helped anybody, it was a long time ago, right?
All right, we're going to math it out.
Oh,
So
yeah.
brace yourselves. It might get a little dense. Let's use a median after-tax income of $19,910 per year or $1,659 per month. We're going to do a zinger here in a minute, so bear with us on those numbers. And we're using the median, by the way, because the average gets skewed a great deal by the income of the very wealthy. The median, we feel, represents what the average American is bringing in. So, we have $1,659 per month. And we're going to subtract a $450 car payment, a $1,100 mortgage, and a $160 student loan payment. Keep in mind, these aren't numbers that we pulled out of thin air. These are average figures for these liabilities for an American. And once you break down all that math, and this is before someone's eaten, before they've paid for gas, before they have paid down any existing credit card debt, they owe somebody $23.61.
Yeah, this isn't even covering the insurances.
Or ammunition, if you're one of Dave's listeners.
Yeah, true.
And now, for the very predictable twist. These figures are from 2003. The very year that these steps were unveiled in Dave's dumbass Total Money Makeover book. In 2003, when this came out, Dave's formula was flat out unworkable for the bottom 50% of Americans from the fucking jump. And on top of that, these steps make the massive assumption that the person reading the book owns their house. There's a step in there that says, pay off your house. We are assuming that you own your house in the first place, which implies that A, they aren't saving up for a down payment or working on their credit, and B, that they, at some point, have potentially tens of thousands of dollars for a down payment.
Dave is smooth-brained as hell, by the way. This is your rich friend suggesting you borrow your mom's credit card to buy fancy shit.
Exactly. And as you might have already suspected, the numbers have just gotten more dire as time has gone on. The gap between what the average American needs and what the average American makes has never been wider. But Dave doesn't fucking give a shit.
Yeah, Dave doesn't care.
He was quoted during the pandemic saying that if the $1,400 stimulus was a game changer, these people were beyond saving anyway.
Yeah, and bear in mind, $1,400 is almost a Ramsey emergency fund and a half. Also, regarding his audience, Dave's talk radio audience has an average age of 47. His podcast audience is about 37 on average, so younger, but crucially, they are much wealthier than the talk radio audience. So these listeners aren't young people worried about saving for school for their kids. They're crusty old folks and tech bros who are looking to Dave to do the exact opposite of what we do at Profiteers vs. the People. Our modest listenership tunes in to listen to our political musings and tag along as we myth-bust self-made rich people. Dave is giving his listeners a political download and attempting to myth-bust the external circumstances of the poor. The underlying message that Dave's brand conveys is poor people don't deserve a break because they are choosing to be poor. All they have to do is follow my 7 steps. It's so simple, and they aren't even doing that.
Exactly. So let's pause here and breathe for a second because we're already getting a little angry. By we, I mean me.
It's all good.
Because it's about to get fucking worse, homie.
Yeah, it's all downhill from here.
Was it ever uphill?
There was no uphill. We never summited shit. It's been a fall this whole time. We're rolling.
Been a free fall.
No, you know what it was? The summit was when I was pretending to be that person who came to you asking for help because that person hadn't been introduced to Dave Ramsey's system yet. Everything gets worse from right there. I think I'm in trouble is like the best you're going to be.
But so, goddamn. Once Dave has a listener in his clutches, he just does not let them go. If they have an issue, Dave can direct them to any one of his endorsed local providers, or ELPs. And these are companies that Dave has bestowed the prestigious
Ramsey Trusted Guarantee.
Oh, nice. I feel like that's probably a pretty exclusive club. How do I get in on that?
You just pay Dave some money.
God damn it.
Yeah, that's a fair fucking reaction because it isn't disclosed anywhere, or at least not clearly, that these vendors are paying Dave for this endorsement, which is a massive conflict of interest because Ramsey is inherently incentivized to let in entrepreneurs that may be a little bit less than scrupulous. And a particular just daunting example of this was featured on John Oliver's episode on timeshares when Dave publicly endorsed a timeshare exit program that turned out to be a complete fucking sham.
Yeah.
And somebody called in and confronted him on it. Instead of apologizing, Dave just insulted the shit out of the caller who confronted him and then just started grumbling about how he owns his building outright. And it was...
Yeah, I got so much money in this building, man. Whatever Dave sounds like. And this keeps going. Dave's gone full-on Scientology in many ways. One of the key ones that we've seen is the Financial Coach Masterclass product. Essentially, you, as one of Dave's trusted acolytes, pay a nominal one-time fee of $2,300 to be trained on how to spread the word of Dave to all of your indebted friends. And then you pay right at $1,000 a year so you can gain clients to coach in the ways of Dave. Once you're part of his referral network, you get to charge fees and stuff, and you build a sort of a triangle shape, perhaps, of clients underneath you who can coach people, and then they have clients that can coach others. He's doing it for Jesus.
Dude, speaking of Jesus and speaking of Scientology, Dave also runs his business like a fucking cult leader.
Yeah, you may remember from earlier, Dave loves him some Jesus, and he lets Jesus put it
being the word of the Lord.
Wherever he wants.
And let me tell you, Dave forces it down his employees' throats.
It being heavenly values.
Nothing is out of bounds. Dave will get word of the after-hours behavior of one of his employees, and before long, that employee is getting a mouthful from old Dave.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Serious Rad Bill. We're back.
Fuck.
Yeah, okay. So, back to Bummerville. Julianne Stamps came out as gay and was terminated as a result of company policy. Caitlin O'Connor was allegedly fired for being pregnant and not married to the baby's father yet. Apparently, the Ramsey Solutions Group sort of back-tested it from when she gave birth, and the math said that technically they hadn't been officiated in the eyes of the Lord when they conceived the child. An employee was fired for taking scientifically prescribed precautions against COVID-19. As a rule of thumb, Ramsey Solutions advises employees and all others that the best antidote to COVID is prayer.
Oh, that one hurt. That one hurt real bad.
Yeah, this is a particular Jesus superfan, and they are a mega bummer. These were all lawsuits, by the way. The plaintiff from the final case summed it up pretty nicely by just saying that Dave Ramsey's operation ran like a cult. Ramsey's denied all these allegations, so we're popping in a post allegedly. Also, additionally, they apparently fired 3 female employees for premarital sex as well, and 2 male employees for watching porn. So he's devout?
That's a word for it, I guess.
That's a word. Devout is a word.
We also found a thing where a bunch of people were shitting on Dave in the comments of some obscure website, and he fucking responded.
Which means he Googles himself.
Oh my God.
For Jesus. It's for Jesus. It's because I'm so holy. Thou shalt not Google thyself.
It's interesting because on his website, there's nothing too Jesus-y. You don't feel like you're buying a book from a pastor. But as we get deeper, that's exactly who Dave thinks he is. He thinks that he is a pastor for finance.
You hear it in his little spin-off tangents. For Rad Bill and Money Mike, we keep accidentally advocating for violence and having to edit it out in post. And
it's a problem.
It is an issue. Don't do violence, y'all.
Violence
but
is bad.
Dave Ramsey spins off on the Jesus thing. One of the things he said in this blog post that he found, it was probably on like page 3 of Google. Is that even a real thing? But he said that before making large purchases, he asks God if that's what he wants Dave to do with his money. He's like God's wealth manager.
Which is A, gross, and B, hilarious because he hasn't done a very good job.
He's lost God a fortune. He's like the worst wealth manager.
He is objectively garbage. So he brags all the time, saying that he owns the campus for Ramsey Solutions outright. At one point, he literally said, I'm sitting in my $300 million paid-for building.
My completely illiquid building.
Oh, yeah, and buddy, that shit ain't worth $300 million anymore. A $300 million office building in San Francisco just sold at an 80% discount, and Dave's place is in Tennessee. That's why we diversify, bucko.
Yeah, that's a spicy meatball. That's a moray. This is a good time to mention, by the way, that not all debt is bad.
The right kind of leverage can be good.
Yeah.
So let's say that I was making the choice of whether to put $1,000 extra on my mortgage that I got in 2019 or keep the $1,000 in my pocket. My mortgage is at 3%. So I essentially pay 3% on that $1,000. So had I put that $1,000 towards my mortgage, I would have saved 3% in interest.
Yeah, you're paying it ahead so you don't get charged the interest.
Penny saved, penny earned.
Yeah.
However, if I didn't do that, if I kept that $1,000 in my pocket and I still had it right now, I could take that $1,000 and invest it in some almost riskless security like short-term treasuries, which are paying about 4.8%.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take what I'm going to make off that $1,000, 4.8%, and subtract the 3% that I'm paying on my mortgage because I didn't put that extra $1,000 there and net them. And if I kept that $1,000 in my pocket, I would have made an extra 1.8%.
$18, baby.
Yeah, which on $1,000 doesn't seem that crazy. But when you blow that up to a $300 million property and keep that 1.8% difference, that is, pause for suspense, $5.8 million a year.
He would have made his client God or whatever $5.8 million. That's good service.
A year.
Yeah.
$5.8 million a year is what CEOs make. This is stupid. So God should fire Dave.
Fire Dave. God. Get a fiduciary. Yeah. So as far as we can tell, Dave is a smooth-brained grifter. A significant portion of his audience tunes in to be told that they did things right, and poor people struggle because they aren't careful with the money they have. The moral that Dave seeks to convey is that the status quo is good, that people choose their place in the world, and that's where they belong. And this is dead wrong.
Dead wrong. Dead fucking wrong.
Poverty is not a matter of failing to live within your means. Even within a budget, most Americans don't have the means to live at all. The New Leaf Project in Canada found that a real solution is just giving people more means. For their study, they randomly selected 115 homeless people in Vancouver who had been homeless for an average of 6 months. 58 of them were selected, again at random, to receive a one-time payment of $5,700 USD. Of the other 57, half received financial counseling and half didn't. No significant change was noted as a result of the counseling without the money. The cash recipients had $3,000 saved after the first month and retained $1,000 in savings over the next 12 months. Funny coincidence there. Over that same period, they spent 80 fewer homeless days than the control group and had secure housing 12 months earlier. Also, they spent 40% less than the control group on alcohol, tobacco, and drugs, and 60% of them were food secure in 30 days. It would be another 5 months before 60% of the control group was food secure. One participant was quoted as saying, "I got to buy Christmas presents for my family. I've never been able to do that, so I got to really show them that I do care and I do try."
Dude, that is so goddamn powerful. It literally eliminates every conservative myth against giving poor people money. They'll use it to buy, cigarettes and drugs.
Yeah.
No, they fucking won't. Oh, it'll have no change in their circumstance. It fucking will. That's what the data says.
We don't give people enough credit is the issue.
Don't give people enough credit. So, instead of listening to a dumb fuck like Dave Ramsey, here are Money Mike and Rad Bill's 7 steps to financial freedom.
Ooh.
1. Be born in an affluent household.
2. Go broke because you're arrogant and overextended.
3. Mysteriously get out of it, maybe by using some help from those well-off parents.
Yes, and 4, write a book about paying off debt that's targeted at overextended consumers by making promises that are mathematically incoherent.
5, start letting those yucky conservative views mix with objective financial advice and become a monster.
6, run your company like a cult.
And number 7, go on Fox News and bitch about people wanting to be happy. It's foolproof. It's fucking foolproof.
Perfect. Look at where it's gotten Dave. He had $300 stuck in an illiquid office building. You could be just like Dave.
$300? He has $300 million.
Oh, sorry. I was 6 zeros off.
Additional note here. If you look up Dave Ramsey's net worth as of today, it is $200 million. And he spent $300 million on that building. Does something not add up?
Actually, I think the math jives beautifully. That's the most coherent math of this entire thing. He should publish a book called How to Lose $300 Million. So, crutches time.
Yep.
We're going to run through these. This is supposed to be a shorty. We're doing our best here. He gets the C for consumer harm. He gets the R for rich parents. They're richer than he says. He offered cash to anyone who would out employees criticizing him anonymously on Twitter, so he gets the U for union suppression and employee abuse. He avoids the T out of sheer stupidity and avoids the rest as far as we can tell.
You don't have to pay tax on losses.
There you go. For actual financial advice, check out Clark Howard. His website offers a wealth of consumer protection resources, and he has a podcast called The Clark Howard Show. As far as we can tell, he's pretty straightforward, and he's the real deal.
Before we close out, guys, we want to let you know that we are on Reddit, our profiteers versus the people. We'd love to interact with you guys there. Ask us questions, request profiteers, whatever you want to do. We want to hang out with you guys. Thanks for listening. Tune into the next one. Like and subscribe, all that bullshit.
I'm Rad Bill.
And I'm Money Mike.
And goodbye.